literally take the L on it. They're having to do
Kamala took the L on it, Jessica.
On immigration, you have to redo the way that you do immigration. Mike Johnson's admitted it.
Jessica Tarlov, the lone liberal voice on Fox News' The Five, clashed with her co-hosts Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld over the possibility of so-called sleeper cells in the United States following Trump's escalation with Iran. We're going to take a look at clips from this heated exchange featuring Tarlov, Gutfeld, Waters, and the rest. And I've got some thoughts to share as well, so let's get into it together.
They're just going to think of these guys as more brown-skinned victims of oppression, until they do something. And then, of course, it's Islamophobic to point it out.
I'll just a gamble, or at least speaking for myself as a Democrat, if Donald Trump is right that he knows where all the sleeper cells are, because he said that when he said Biden let them all in, that is not going to be the case. But, we have that thought.
Yeah, you want to listen to it, Jessica?
I do.
Let's roll it.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with his stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think. They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them.
Great. So I would advocate for you going and getting them, because in these conditions, this is obviously going to be happening more and more often. The border was Trump's best issue. He is still in positive territory on securing the border, making sure no one gets in here.
Who do you send? And what happens when all of these protesters show up to block you?
I don't. Who do you send? You send FBI agent, whoever the right.
Not ICE.
Not ICE.
Can't send ICE.
Are you guys really turning this into some sort of?
No, because we're used to it. We know that when you guys, like you say, get rid of the worst first, but then you didn't.
And then you just pick up everybody. And
because you guys let in everybody.
But not everybody committed a crime.
Jessica, people that cross the border illegally should be deported. Everybody knows that. Jessica, most of the country wants them all out.
I can't believe you want to fight about this. Literally take the L on it. They're having to do
Kamala took the L on it, Jessica.
On immigration, you have to redo the way that you do immigration. Mike Johnson's admitted it. We have to do a course correction. You have to tone it back.
No, the course correction was electing Donald Trump.
No.
You guys blew open the border and you lost big time.
Kristi Noem?
Kristi Noem is now protecting the shield of America.
Oh, a much better job.
A very powerful counterterrorism tool is the following. That's it. You knock on the door. You say, hey, how you doing? Yeah, that's it. You don't have to do any more than that. The problem is exactly what Greg identified. You do that kind of thing when things really spark up overseas. You have a pretty good idea of who your local bad guys are. But it will become, in the current age, what you're talking about.
Yeah, and no one can lecture us about the process when you caused this problem to begin with.
Then I will have nothing to say for the rest of the administration.
Okay, so don't threaten me with a bad time.
This will be a nice day, guys.
Coming up next, Dr. Jill. Did I say that right?
So Jessica Tarlov makes what might be the most rational point out there, and it really is hard to argue with it, because Donald Trump, the so-called leader running the country, keeps claiming that he knows exactly where these sleeper cells are, and Jessica Tarlov responds in the most direct and logical way possible by saying go and get them, let's go and get them right now. And you would expect that people like Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters, who constantly defend Trump, would finally agree on something and say, hey, Jessica Tarlov is right for once, we are with you, let's go after them. But instead of agreeing, they start complaining about Democrats. And that makes no sense, because Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters need to remember that their guy has been in charge for over a year now. And if Donald Trump and his administration really knew where these so-called sleeper cells were, then why were they not the top priority from day one? Because the truth is, people on Fox News can say whatever they want about how the left would react, but there is absolutely no one on the left saying that terrorists should be allowed to stay in the country. In fact, every Democrat and every person on the left would have supported it if the first move after Trump took office was to use ICE and every available agency and tool to go after actual terrorists and these monitored sleeper cells, even if Joe Biden did not do it. If Trump had done it properly, no one would have complained. Everyone would have said good, they went after real threats and real sleeper cells, but that is not what happened, and Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters knew it. They were fully aware of it, because instead of going after real dangers, the Trump administration chose to go after single mothers. They went after teenagers. They went after American citizens who were simply exercising their right to protest. And it did not stop there, because they did not just want to target people who were here, as they say, illegally. They also started talking about going after naturalized citizens too, with MAGA voices pushing this idea that some of these so-called sleeper cells could be naturalized citizens who supposedly do not love America the way they claim to, which shows just how deep the propaganda runs. And honestly, this is why it is hard to watch too much of Fox News, because it becomes overwhelming. And Jessica Tarlov is not even on that show every single day. But whenever she does appear, she consistently brings up the most reasonable and grounded points, and once again she simply says let's go and get them, which is the most straightforward solution, yet her own co-hosts push back against it, which is incredible to watch, especially when Donald Trump keeps saying that they know where most of these people are, because if that were true then it should have been treated like a full emergency, something urgent where the administration would say these are the most dangerous individuals and they are our top priority and everything else can wait. But instead you have Greg Gutfeld complaining about how people might protest, even though that argument falls apart completely because no one would protest a government going after real sleeper cells if they actually existed and were a real threat, and Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters can keep repeating their talking points all they want, but Democrats would not only support that kind of action, they would openly cheer it. Yet everyone already knows that is not what actually happened, because the Trump administration went after people who had not broken any laws, exactly as Jessica Tarlov pointed out, but in the narrow thinking of Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, and the rest of MAGA, simply being present is treated as a crime in itself. Even naturalized citizens are not being spared, because the reality is they do not even want naturalized citizens here either. And that raises a serious question about where all of this is heading, so it really comes down to what you think about everything that has been said. Do you actually agree with Jessica Tarlov and her straightforward point? And are you surprised at all that Donald Trump openly claimed that they have been monitoring these so-called sleeper cells? Because honestly, it is hard to understand why this is not a much bigger story, especially when it has already been over a year with him in office. So if they really knew about these sleeper cells, then why are we only hearing about it now? And why were they not dealt with immediately? Why are they still not being rounded up right now if the threat is as serious as it is being described? So again, it comes back to your opinion on all of this, or maybe you are someone who agrees more with Greg Gutfeld and Jesse Waters. But there was also another moment that stood out when Jessica Tarlov questioned where Kristi Noem has been, and even Jesse Waters could not take it seriously and ended up laughing because deep down he knows it does not add up. The excuse that she is somehow protecting the shield just sounds like more deflection, and the reality is it looks like Donald Trump quietly sidelined her after she became an embarrassment. And that is why even the MAGA voices on that panel sometimes end up laughing at their own talking points because they know how absurd it sounds. But in the end, let me know what you think about all of this. Make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already, because the channel is getting close to 100,000 subscribers, and with your support it can go even further, especially as things start heating up heading toward the midterm elections, and that is where the conversation is only going to get more intense moving forward.